ready, we ready, we ready for y'all. We ready, we ready, we
Hello, all you beautiful people. Divisional round. I guess it's a wildcard round recap. Divisional round. Special team show. Back at it. A couple weeks away. We've been away for a couple weeks. Lots of stuff going on, but we're here.
We made
Strapping
it.
on helmets. Yeah, we made it. Here we are. So 3 of us here tonight. Rob's abandoned us again. We're not really sure where he is.
We don't know where he is. He's
probably wearing an apron somewhere, naked, with his ass in a mirror.
Good thing that guy that wanted to start this just doesn't show up. So that's cool. Fuck
Anyway,
he's kind of like
Whatever.
the Eagles. Anyways,
Eagles made a playoff appearance at least, right?
yeah, they showed
right.
up.
Yeah, they were there. They were there.
Barely, but they made it.
So how's it been going, guys? How's the football world? I've been out of touch a little bit for the last 2 weeks. So yeah, how's things been going?
You want to go ahead, Luke?
Do I want to start?
Yeah.
See that motherfucker right there? That's an eagle. Killed it. I found it on the field last week in fucking Tampa Bay. Ironically, that's where they live because Tampa Bay fucking owns them.
Fucking Baker Mayfield. Holy fuck.
Well, and that's not the first loss to Tampa. I gotta say, all kidding aside, you and I have both been going on about Baker all year, and I sort of got a soft spot for the fucker. I'm not gonna lie. Just where he is, he played a great game against. I'm not gonna take anything away from Baker. That was all the Eagles to lose, and it started about 7 fucking games ago. Sorry for the cussing in here, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere the other day, Baker Mayfield turned into what everybody wanted Johnny Manziel to be. Like he just, and I really dislike him. Like he's the kind of person I want to punch in the face when I see him. Right?
You just laugh when he does bad.
But he does this shit, and you're just like, that was awesome, right? Like
he knows when to run. Like I love when he scrambles, and I'm not gonna lie, like he played great that game. He, in my head, he was the reason they played as well as they did, especially in the second. Well, after the first quarter, realistically, Baker just started dialing it in. I think he threw like 337 yards or something, and he ran a mile too. So that's how I am.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that like when he's scrambling, you could see him like spinning around and throwing balls over his shoulder and like just doing stupid shit, and not like like Patrick Mahomes pulls off shit like no looks and all that kind of stuff. And it looks like he like, and he looks like he means it. Baker looks like he'd do it just hoping for the fucking best, right? Like just like whatever, just fucking throw the ball.
Yeah, that one touchdown.
Mike Evans out there, right? Like Mike Evans at 30 plus years is still like catching dominant. He's still dominating, and he actually has a bit of a quarterback now, and it's just like this is working out. We'll see how they do this week.
Yeah. Huh. Reg, what did you think about Wildcard weekend?
You know what? Wildcard weekend, I was excited for a few of the games, but a lot of them just went to shit after the first quarter or the second quarter, right?
Yeah.
Rams Lions was great.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo was fun. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, exactly. The Browns Houston was good for the first half.
Yeah.
right? Like I was like, oh, this is gonna be a competitive game. Yeah, Green Bay.
It's pretty
Dallas,
typical.
It's like it just
It's pretty typical of wild card weekend, right? Like usually what you get is you get a bunch of blowouts or teams, maybe not blowouts, but like they just kind of impose their will on the teams that they're playing, right? That's kind of the way playoffs scenarios are set up. But then you always get the one-offs here and there that pull something off. And yeah, like you're right, the Detroit Rams game, that was tight, like probably tighter than Detroit would have liked it to have been. Which maybe we can talk about in a little bit when we get to the divisional round stuff. Houston, see, I had total faith that Houston was going to win this game anyway. With CJ Stroud being back, I felt really good about it, and we'll talk about our picks in a little bit. I watched the Green Bay game I was talking to you. I was actually talking to you guys while I was in the plane watching it, flying over the Atlantic, which was a new experience. So, I mean, it for the most part, it was good. It cost me a lot of money for the Wi-Fi. So, but I still got to watch the game. And I did it, right? Like I can say that I watched a football game flying over the Atlantic. So
you could have flown first class, or you just flew and got to watch Green Bay smash Dak. And the
I
boys.
think
I
that'd be
mean,
worth it,
pound
whatever you
the
paid.
shit out of yeah. And the funny thing is of course Jen is a Packers fan, but she's got this this superstition thing going on right now that whenever she watches them play, they lose. So her and the girls are sitting in the triple seat over here, and I'm sitting in the aisle of the other section across the way, and she would look over to see the score, and I'd like cover my phone so that she couldn't see it. Right. And then when they scored, I would tell her, and she was really excited, but she kept trying to sneak a look, and I'd block her so she couldn't watch it. And so she's probably the reason why, other than Dak, of course, but other than that, she's probably the reason why. Yeah.
She's the charm now. She has to watch them now. She's committed.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, the other thing was like the Chiefs Dolphins. It started out, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be, and then Chiefs ran away. Like that was a lot of the games. The Bills Steelers was relatively close-ish at the end of the third, I think.
Yeah, the
It looked
Steelers
like
came with
Bills
like 3 scores, eh? They just like boom, it was like 24-17 or something, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Like, but the Bills looked dominant the whole way through until obviously the Steelers scored a bit, and I was thinking, there might be a chance. But as soon as the Steelers put up 17, it was like Bills answered right back and just put the dagger in. So, but yeah, it was a decent weekend for some football.
I mean, it was football. I think it's what you expect, and then the on the other side of that is that now you're looking at potentially what most people see as being the best weekend in football, is because now you've kind of sorted through everything, and now you're looking at some of the best matchups out there. So hopefully that's what it'll turn out to be. So just to recap on everything we saw, these were our picks. They kind of came in throughout the week last week. So Cleveland, obviously, they took the loss to Houston, and I was the lone wolf here. I felt pretty good about this one.
Call.
Yeah,
Good
felt pretty
pick.
good about that one. Miami just, they looked outclassed to me. I got up at like 3:00 in the morning to watch this game. It started at 1:15, I think, in England. So I got up about halfway through. I think I watched the second half. Basically, I watched just before when Mahomes got his helmet cracked. Yeah.
You watched from the point where
Funny
Kansas
note
was
on that. The
dominating.
company said it did its. Well, sorry, Reg.
Yeah, it did its job. Yeah, they definitely tried to PR.
Yeah.
They definitely PR spun that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see if it really did.
Well, did you hear what Kelsey was saying? He was like, I'm
No.
standing in the huddle and I'm looking through this hole in his helmet, and I could see his scalp, and I'm like, well, that can't be good.
Dude.
I don't think you're. Then he's like, I don't think you're allowed to play like that. And then they called the next play and off they went, right? So anyway, yeah. So Kansas City, I think probably fortunately has found their groove. And like
Fortunate for everyone
literally at the very last second, like we're talking 12th hour here, they're finally coming around.
Sort of the last two games. I feel like their last game of the season they were dialing it in again too. A couple calls.
Yeah, I didn't get to
back
watch
on them.
that one, but it looked good. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. And then to your point, I think like you got a sleeping giant starting the way you care. I hate it, but they looked good, man. Like Miami looked outclassed. Like
they really did. Like they
know how to win.
Like, yeah, exactly. So and that's what you've got. You've got teams now that, and I was listening to somebody talk about how playoff experience really doesn't usually, factor in all that much. But I don't know, when you've got a team that the nucleus of this team is a playoff caliber team, I think that's got something to do with it. I mean, they're going to be tested here because they're about to go on the road, and it's not like they're going to play in a dome. They're going to go play in harsh conditions somewhere else, so it'll be interesting to see how they do this week.
They did play well in harsh conditions, though, in Kansas City.
At home.
Yeah.
At home.
At home. Oh, yeah. Like,
so
I'm just saying they're used to harsh conditions, but
sure,
going into Buffalo is a whole different story.
Certainly not like the shock that Miami would have went through, for sure. I agree.
Yeah, Miami. I think the weather actually affected them. I honestly do.
Yeah.
Well, it came out and like Tyreek scored, and I was like, okay, like,
all right.
Well, we might have a bit of a game here. And then, exactly. And then it was just like Harrison Butker field goal. And I was just like,
gas by Butker.
Yeah.
By Butker.
We're just like, she's over.
Yeah. Green Bay. This score is kind of funny to look at. So if you were watching this game, the first half was an absolute obliteration. It was 27-0 after the half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the fact that Dallas scored 32 points, I think if you watch this whole game, you'll see that they were basically just slanging the ball as much as they could. Right. And it was chunk yardage. It wasn't, there wasn't really any semblance to a game there. And I think Green Bay just kind of backed off because if you remember, LaFleur pulled most of the starters on offense. And then he was like, whoa, like this could get out of hand.
You had to put them back out. Yeah.
So I think this score, I think it could have been probably more for Green Bay and less for Dallas had they just stayed on the pedal the whole time.
Yeah.
So, but either way, Green Bay looked the part, and Dallas basically came through with everything that we expected to do.
Everything we expect them to do. Dak threw the ball 60 times in that game.
Yeah, 60. And they still,
60 times.
There's insane. So much talent in front of them too. Like CeeDee Lamb is an incredible wide receiver, and did
you see them in the first half? Like, what was going on there? The connection between and it looked like they were all pissed off at CD.
Yeah,
right.
And he dropped the one that hit his hands, man. Like the one catch off I don't remember what quarter it was. It was a catch he gets like 99.9 times out of
kind of he jumped up over on the sideline near the sideline, right? Yeah. And it was just kind of like
what is up?
Yeah.
You think it was playoff jitters? Like do you think they Mahomes came back in the Super Bowl last year and won? Like that was phenomenal. I'll give it that. Like do you think there's a team like Dallas that they just can't get into that mindset? It's the complete opposite. The pressure is just crushing in Dallas. Like do you think that affects them?
It's Dak Prescott. That man cannot win an important game, right? Like there was a couple of years back to win the East, he had to beat like the Giants or Washington once in the last 3 weeks, and they couldn't beat them, and they were awful teams that year. He's now 2-5 in the playoffs. Dak Prescott. Baker Mayfield is tied with him for playoff wins. And Baker Mayfield also
played on those shitty Cleveland teams, and he was a backup. I think he was a practice squad backup in Carolina. They showed him lining up as defensive lineman.
Baker has as many wins as Dak Prescott, and he has more wins than Deshaun Watson in the playoffs. And he's definitely not getting paid $250 million a year. So I
think he has the Browns' only playoff win as well, or something silly like that. I'd have to check, but it's like, he's got some stats, man.
Yeah. So, there's something about Dak not being able to win games that matter. I feel like even when we were talking about, and I was like, Dak's looking like the best quarterback. I probably was still saying, I don't know why I'm believing in Dak because he can't fucking win games that matter. He can never do it. If you look at the stats in that game, they had 37 first downs to Green Bay's 22. Like how they ran 89 offensive plays. 54. Green Bay ran 54. They almost
Yeah.
ran double their offensive plays, and they still couldn't win the
Turnovers,
game.
man. Turnovers, pick six.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I know.
like,
I know. It's
It's
just
Philly special this year.
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
Joe Flacco special. Jeez.
Yeah, I
Pick
don't. I
six
have
and
no.
pick six.
I have no confidence in Dak Prescott. I never have. I've never shied away from it. For years, I've always said it. I don't. I just there's something about him that I was talking to somebody unrelated to football. Somebody said, you always talk about losing or failing and learning from failing and all that kind of stuff, right? But there's also a truth to learning how to win. And you get comfortable winning. And once you get there, you get your Patrick Mahomes effect. You get these things where this expectation for yourself is to win. And when you don't know how to lose, it makes it really hard to lose, right? Like things have to go against you for you to lose. So there's something to be said about learning how to win and then making that part of who you are, as opposed to just getting lucky or showing up one game, that kind of thing. So, and I think that's what Dak Prescott struggles with. I think the Cowboys' biggest problem is that every single year we start off saying they are the number one team in the NFC East, or they're a playoff caliber team and they're going to, challenge for the Super Bowl and blah, blah, blah. We do it. Every media outlet does it every single year. Yeah. And this is the result we get from them every single year. And I think that there needs to be probably a reality check somewhere.
Well, yeah, there's a team in every league that does that. They just spend, they're a top market and they just dump coin into everything everybody tells them to get. And it might be mediocre, but it's shiny on the outside, from their coaching staff down to their players, and they can't put it together. There's the Leafs in hockey or the whatever baseball team you want to pick this year. There's teams out there that just love doing that and they get away with it until it matters.
Yeah.
There is one thing. Your point, winning's a culture, man.
I do love watching Dallas lose. I mean, that's just because of who I am and the history as a 49er fan. But there's something with this whole new like social media and TikTok and all that kind of thing. There's nothing better than watching Dallas Cowboys fans destroy shit. Literally destroy shit. And whether, I don't care if it's fake, I don't care. I love watching them act like children and destroy houses, vehicles, whatever. It doesn't matter anymore.
TVs,
right?
TVs are good.
TVs are good. Yeah.
It's a good day. It's a good day the next day to be a TV store.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Amazon must be good killing.
Really, really enjoy the Dallas stuff. So it's good.
To add to your point, though, like everyone's saying they're a playoff caliber team. It's hard not to believe that they're going to be a playoff caliber team when they get 12 wins in the NFL, right? Like
but literally we say it every year.
I know,
every
but
year.
They're 12-5, 12-5, 12-5 the last 3 years. 12 wins in the NFL is not an easy accomplishment. So you got to think that they're a playoff caliber team, but they get they fucking fail every time.
Yeah, you're right. They're a playoff caliber team. They make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, they're a gatekeeper.
All they do is just take a spot away from somebody else that could have probably done something, right?
Yeah. So
fucking Seahawks could have came in and won a game for as much as I hate to say that, by the way.
I mean, yeah. Anyways,
yeah.
Green Bay at the end of the day too, playing the best game they ever did. Like we didn't even talk about them. They played phenomenal.
Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah,
Jones,
they really did. Yeah, Aaron Jones just dominated. Aaron Jones
3 touchdowns and like
the way he was running, he was like 6-7 yards a run for a lot of the time. Like it just was
stop him.
Dominant. Yeah,
I think he had 6.
They couldn't stop him.
He's got 21 carries, 118 yards, so that's 6 yards a carry, right?
Also the throw down the right-hand side of the field when who was it? Green Bay's tight end was wide open. I'm talking like 20 yards between him and anybody else.
I could have got
the ball
down there.
The ball floated to him, and the defender still didn't even get to him. Right? Like I'm pretty sure that Jordan Love threw it straight in the air and it came back down.
Yeah. He said, "Oh, if I throw it in that area."
He's got to get it, and I think he backed up and like moved around it. It was like catching a punt, right? Like
they use their tight ends a lot, man. I love how they use their tight ends, man.
Yeah.
And Jordan Love, they showed a few highlights of him. What I would perceive as roughing the QB, he took his licks, dude. He did.
Yeah,
and I was shocked that they weren't calling that. They were letting some of the stuff go that I seen. I'm not a ref. I'm not a coach. I'm just a dumb fan. But
But if it
be
was Patrick
consistent with what we
Mahomes,
see.
Mahomes is
Yeah.
drawn the penalty. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's wild, right?
I was seeing some of the stuff going on. And I was thinking, they're trying to like sneak the Cowboys back into this game. I think that's what the refs are doing.
It did kind of feel like that for a little
wild,
bit. Yeah.
dude. It's wild.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
massive market, a lot of money laying in there. Imagine the amount of people betting on it and working there. But I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's wild.
Yeah, it really was. LA, Rams, Detroit. Probably most people think of this as being the best game of the weekend. Reg went solo on the Rams, and the three of us went together with Detroit. So good for Detroit. First home playoff game in over 30 years,
They
and
got another
win.
one coming.
And they got another one coming. Yeah, they're gonna host. So that's pretty cool.
This game was great, right? It was just back and
Yeah.
forth, back and forth, back and forth the whole time.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Detroit held on late, right? Like I think it was like the fourth quarter. I don't even think there was a score. Maybe there was a field goal. It was something like that, but like it was very tight all the way to the end. And it's nice to see Detroit get a win, even though I'm a Vikings fan. I think I would rather Detroit out of any other NFC North teams to win, obviously other than the Vikings. But like fuck the Packers. Nobody cares about the Bears, but it's good. I like what Detroit's got going on. I like the whole Dan Campbell thing. It's fun to.
It's a cool
It's good
story,
TV.
man.
It's good TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool to root for them.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were to make it all the way, they'd probably be the team I'd root for just for Rob and bring home the Lambeau to the NFC North so we can say we lost to the Super Bowl champs or something. So,
I mean, you have something anyway. Yeah.
We can say we beat
I
the
like
Super
Buck-
Bowl champ if the Niners win, but that's a whole other story.
It's a long shot for. I liked. I love Buffalo. I always think they bring the energy. I think they're consistent, but I feel like Detroit had the best crowd that weekend of all.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Did.
ball games.
Yeah.
I think Detroit owned it, and I really think the energy that crowd brought. Like, you imagine the entire crowd singing with Eminem, 8 Mile.
Yeah.
like he started it and they finished. It was wild. Like,
Yeah.
That's
This
cool.
is the whole
I'd love to
culture
see that
thing you were
again.
just talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I love it.
they've got the whole culture thing figured out, and
Yeah.
they really have locked into that. And I think
There's an
it's awesome.
identity. Like they have an identity. They know who they are, and they don't sugarcoat it. They don't dance around it at all. Like this is who we are, and this is what we're gonna do. And yeah, and our fans buy in, and they are the same thing. So yeah. No, I like the blue collar feel to it. I think the other underlying thing here was I think the Rams were a story that we didn't really expect this year. One of those kind of surprises to get here, and I really felt like it was going to be Seahawks, Niners in the West, and then the Rams, and then the Cardinals. And I thought that the Rams, just because of the Stafford effect and a couple of the players, Cooper Kupp, that kind of stuff. When Cooper went down, beginning of the year, I really thought that the Rams were in rough, like it was going to get ugly for them fast. And good for them, because they really put together, and tough for me to say, in the division, all that kind of stuff, but good for them. They did pull it together. And I think that, for a team that was, they've been under fire for the last couple of years, that, basically sold their soul for a Super Bowl. And here they are a couple of years later, and really they were in this game, and they could be sitting right now in the divisional round, playing, you know what I mean? So good on them. Yeah. Like it was,
they started the first half of the season 3-6.
They were bad.
Yeah.
No one thought they were going to make it. Right?
No, they're in rough shape.
I think they were coached really well too to the NFL. Like I haven't watched the Rams probably like you, but I just feel like every time I do watch a game, it's chess for those guys. It looks like they move the ball really well and they defend it well consistently when they have their players.
Yeah. Okay. Pittsburgh 17, Buffalo 31. Not a huge surprise here. Game was moved. Let's talk about that first. How do you guys feel about it? Game being moved because of weather.
There was a lot of snow. I mean, it was pretty unprecedented.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see like market financially how that would have benefited them.
Yeah.
Stranded vehicles everywhere. Yeah, I can see
Risk
both
to life,
sides.
because people were going to
Yeah.
try, right? People were going to try to
Wouldn't
get
you
there.
though?
Yeah.
And it was still
Yeah.
snotty there. Like you'd see the stands, people sliding down the stairs in those upper levels. Like those are steep, man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. And I mean,
And it's the Bills.
Luke, when we went to Pennsylvania, like you saw where the stadium is, it's like in the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere, right? Like,
yeah, with the
so
lakes
it's
right
not like you can catch, local transit
Yeah, you can't
or
just
anything
jump on
like
the
that.
bus.
Like it's not
Yeah.
like that. So it's really out in the middle of a field, like back county roads kind of thing to get to it. And dangerous, but at the same time there's I was listening to the Kelsey podcast, and Jason's like, yeah, you play the game. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, like I appreciate that. If I knew
Me
that
too.
nobody was going to get hurt trying to get to the game,
Yeah, the
because
game wasn't the issue, right?
yeah, exactly. It
play.
wasn't. And that's why the
Yeah.
governor had to step in, right? Because
Yeah.
the game, they would have played the game, right? It
Yeah.
was that other
They would have
people
made it
were gonna
happen.
get hurt.
Yeah, they could have played the game in snow.
It would have been a sweet
everything to
game.
get the
too.
game
It
going.
would have been a sweet game.
Like
Sweet
It
game.
would have been, dude. It
Yeah.
would have been.
I'm,
it would have been wild.
I guess I'm probably the closest to Buffalo, right?
Sure.
We got the winter storm that day too, and I looked outside and I thought, oh yeah, like fucking this Buffalo game's gonna be sick. And then I'm looking and I'm like, it was moved to Monday. Like, what's going on, right? Like, what is this all about? But
It was
it
definitely
was
the better
messy here
Monday
too,
game.
right? Like, I'd be walking, but obviously you can't walk to the game. It sounds like
Not unless you live
Stadium's
close. Like
no-
there's like a couple
Yeah.
of like highway road, like county roads where there's like houses, but
Yeah.
not like a couple
Yeah.
hundred. You know what I mean? Like it's not a lot. So,
Yeah.
It's like straight off the highway there into like a field. And when we
Yeah.
we came back the one day, like they were lined up to the border to go to the game. Like it was just like a traffic. It's
Oh,
really
that's
hard to
crazy.
describe if you've never been there, but it's not easily accessible. And then there's like little neighborhoods and houses all over the place there. Like it's sort of odd, to be honest. It's
it's
it's a
pretty
cool
crazy.
spot for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So-
yeah. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, yeah, moving the game, I don't, it doesn't bother me at all. I get it.
Yeah.
I understand, but
Mm.
you want to see a weather game, right? Like,
Want to see a weather game. Always want to see a weather game, especially a big snowflake weather game.
yeah,
Big
those snowflakes are big, baby.
Yeah, those are big snowflakes. So either way,
Yeah.
Buffalo. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Luke. Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say there was some chatter generated. I can't remember what show it was, but talking about how northern teams are starting to slowly shift to a dome. And it begs the question: what you have a pure game, you're gonna play it outside. All the purists would love it, but when it comes down to money, is it better to have indoor games like Minnesota and Detroit in the north? But you got Chicago, Green Bay, Buffalo. Even Cleveland, all those games out there, they could potentially have all that happen to it.
Yeah, I think that the biggest draw or the biggest fallback from not having a dome in these northern is not being able to host a Super Bowl, right? And
Exactly.
they're building these new and a lot of revenue generated, that kind of thing. Like even at Penn State, right? They're doing this massive overhaul to Beaver Stadium. I doubt they're ever going to cover it, right? But the idea is to be able to host a bowl game, right? So what do they have to do to be able to get to that point? So that's always going to be the draw with these northern teams. But like when you think of Lambeau, could you imagine Lambeau being covered? It's just not right.
No.
When you guys go to Lambeau at some point in your life,
yeah.
when you go
that's
to
what I mean.
Arrowhead, you can't go to Arrowhead and it be covered. That doesn't make any sense.
But imagine having a Super Bowl in Chicago, right? Like it's not going to happen in February.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that would be a
fucking
place
sick,
you
though.
should have a Super Bowl, right? In
Well,
my
they
head,
did
you should have
They
a
did
Super
it at
Bowl.
MetLife. They did it at
Well,
MetLife,
yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
everybody was
exactly.
frozen. They're
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And people will go. I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, maybe that would be our opportunity to get Super Bowl tickets, right? Like all these other
Yeah, people are like, oh, it's
well, it's too
negative 10.
cold.
It's too
Yeah.
cold.
All the people who like the weather games can go. Canadians to score
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, so on to the game. Pittsburgh 17, Buffalo 31.
Josh Allen played a perfect game almost.
Josh Allen did Josh Allen things for sure.
Yeah,
He
Stephon
dominated,
Diggs played
man.
well. Yeah, he did. He really did. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
ran the ball. He threw the ball hard. Like remember we were talking about how he just throws those lasers. Guys were like lining up with those. Like, man, he was exciting to watch. I really like Josh Allen. He's
Yeah.
a cool guy to watch. Like a John Elway sort of esque, like just that kind of intensity. You know, I like him.
That
I think
run
what I
he
like
ran,
about
the
Oh, yeah, the
touchdown
run.
run, I was just like,
Yeah.
there's no way he's getting it. And then it's like,
So did you
he's gonna get in. He got
Okay,
in.
so did you see it?
Unbelievable.
Did you see it? You okay, so if think
Yeah,
back
oh,
to
yeah.
it, I don't know if you remember it, but there was some question on whether or not he did the fake slide. So
No, he
when
did
we're
do, like,
talking
a little wiggle thing.
well,
but
if
I
you
don't know.
look,
should
his
watch it
shoulders
again.
actually go behind his body.
Yeah, like he
Right?
was
So
going to
when
go
his-
down, right?
When his shoulders go behind his body, that really makes it look like he's going to do that. So that's not when you think about it, it's kind of it's part of the rules. They can do it.
Yeah.
There's nothing, but the defenders are kind of screwed, right? Like they can't commit to hitting him because if he
Yeah.
does slide, they're screwed, right? And they had already drawn a penalty earlier on in the game for that. Right. So yeah, it's if you watch it, he does give it a little his shoulders go back, and either
Yeah,
way,
I see it.
it's kind of it's there, but either way, it's one of those things where you kind of like to see that not be a thing, but I don't know how they monitor that.
There
kind
is
of
a
thing,
fake
so.
slide rule though, right? Like you can't intentionally not slide. I want to say.
No.
I feel like I've read that stuff. Maybe it's another league. I'm positive there was like a fake slide rule out there because you would see it all the time, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you try it?
Well-
Screw you, psych. You know, wouldn't you do that? They never do that.
Yeah, but I think the problem is that you also have to make sure that like the lane is open for you to be able to do it, because if you
Sure.
fake slide and there's no lane there, so yeah, you're gonna get crushed.
You get real
right?
hit.
Yeah, you're gonna get real hit, right? So I think it's opportunistic. It's kind of like a tight end hurdling people, right? Like I don't think it's one of those things that you go into a play and you're like, if I run this, I'm gonna do a little fake slide and see if it just happened that what was that?
Well, they'll catch on eventually.
Yeah, it's just
do
so
it once.
you're that guy, right? You're that guy that does the fake slide. So if you go to fake slide, I'm going to hit you and hope for the best,
Yeah.
right? So
To me, it almost looks. So I just watched it like on repeat a few times here.
Yeah.
It does kind of look like he's attempting to slide, but if you look at the defender squares up like he's going to, prepare to tackle him from pretty far out. So it's almost like Josh has made the decision, oh, this guy isn't close enough. Like I think the defender was just too far away, really, before he
I do too.
squared up, right? Like if he squared up a bit closer,
but was he too far away because he assumed that Josh was going to go for the slide?
Yeah, maybe.
And that would be his fault for doing that, and then Josh just took advantage of it, right?
Yeah,
so
you just got to do
it's
that.
a good
thing
Josh
where
plan.
you tackle.
It was
over him, right? Like,
NCAA that introduced it. They recently introduced a rule against fake slides by quarterbacks following a controversial move by a Pittsburgh quarterback, Kenny Pickett, in the ACC.
Kenny Pickett slid almost to the ground and then stood up and ran. It was a whole different, like it was obvious that he did it.
Yeah. That was where the NCAA did. The rule aims to ensure the player's safety by giving the ball carrier an option to the end of the play by sliding feet first and to avoid contact. Allowing the ball carrier to fake slide would compromise the defense that is being instructed to let up when the ball carrier slides feet first.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. That's
here's
good.
his
probably
little.
coming.
This is where he's doing his little shoulder fake slide, and if you see the defender here, like he's pretty far back, and he starts to square up there.
Well, he's
And I
kind of
think
back.
that's-
Is he not kind of like? He looks like he's
Yeah,
kind of doing a
he
hesitate.
definitely does like a wiggle back, right?
No,
Like,
I'm not
it's
talking
right
about Josh
here.
Allen. I'm talking about the defender. Like it looks like the defender's like, I'm squaring up, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to stand up because you're going to go down.
Yeah,
You see what I'm
maybe.
saying?
Yeah. Because he's got first down right there, clearly, right? Like he's probably thinking about it, at least.
Yeah.
He's got a guy lining up on him.
Yeah.
Number 20 is getting on top of that other guy. Pretty big. Yeah, he won.
So Buffalo did the thing. Good stuff.
I mean, it didn't make a difference in the game. I don't think.
No,
I think
no,
Buffalo
it
was
didn't.
taking that game no matter what.
They kind of outclassed them for sure.
And I think you need to know the quarterback you're playing against. Does Josh Allen really slide? That's the other thing.
Right. He takes a hit.
He
Right.
always takes the hit. So I would be hitting him, and if you take the 15, well, you take the 15.
Well, that's the problem. Earlier on in the game, they did.
Oh, okay.
But it was more of a shitty one though. Like he did slide and they fucking went right into him.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was deliberate and late.
And
the
then
next
Tomlin
one.
was probably like, "Get it up when he slides." This guy's probably hesitating. And
Yeah, just a whole calamity of bullshit.
yeah.
All right, final game of the week: Philadelphia 9 and Tampa Bay 32. We talked about this a little bit in the opener. We split it down the middle. Rob and Reg went Philadelphia. Luke and I went with Baker, fuckface, and there he is.
Yeah, I you know what? Before Luke goes on about Philadelphia, because I'm gonna let him do his thing.
Yeah,
It's okay.
The week before, the Bucks won 9-0. Like it was a win and get in. Like they had to win to get into the playoffs, and they only beat the Panthers 9-0, and they looked fucking awful. And the Eagles, they lost to the Giants. They got their asses kicked. I had to believe, like, come on, like they have to be able to do something. against
snap
Baker
out of this. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like they have
Yeah.
to be able to do something here.
No way,
Yeah.
man.
And then the Bucks
Just, you know where it all started?
dominated them.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it was a good
No,
game
no,
for the
that's it.
Bucks,
Like
say.
DeAndre Swift only ran for 30 yards.
Yeah.
right?
Well, they don't run. I mean, Devontae Smith played well, but yeah, it was over before it started. ESPN will do like it'll show like the percentage of the team, the chances of the team to win, right?
Yeah.
And before the first quarter was over, the Eagles were at their highest by almost 60%. And then at the end of that first quarter, they went to 51%, and they never got back above that.
Yeah,
At one point, I think before the second half was over, it was down to 80 for the Tampa Bay to win. Like they didn't play, they did not play, but obviously I've
into
been
half
following
one, I
throughout the
thought.
year. Well, here's the deal, man, and I sort of said it at the beginning of the year where the games were closer. It was one good game, ironically, against Tampa, where they came out and I was like, yeah, they're starting to get it together, and I think they beat Miami not too long after that, right? But every game around those games they were won by a score, like even at the last second. And then, they got a couple lucky wins, I would say. And people would get pissed off. Eagles fans are either they're diehard, we should have won that fucking game, or they're like me, where like you've been watching it all year and you're like, this ain't good. We're barely over 500 in scoring. I think like you last time I checked, you have to score more points throughout the year, to carry on than get scored against, right? And they barely were above that threshold. And then they got exposed playing the Niners, and they never came back after that. They had a lucky win in there against the Giants, but that was like, was it 6 out of 7 games, 5 out of 6 games? Like
6 out of 7 last time.
They collapsed, right? And the best analogy I've seen of this entire season, which has been the most frustrating season of any sports team in my life to watch, because every game was a heart attack. Even though as they win, they were 10-1, and I still didn't feel good about it. Imagine your team being 10-1, you're just like, not sure about these guys. And I was right. Shannon Sharp, awesome guy, awesome tight end. He used the analogy of buying a car off a used car salesman. Awesome dialed up car, right? He's like, you drive it off the lot and the light goes on. You just ignore it. And then, a couple months later, another light comes on. It's red this time. I'll leave it. And finally, when you have all the bells and whistles and all the lights on, everything's falling apart, you take it to the shop, it's screwed. And by then, it's too late. You're buying a new car. It was one of the best analogies I've seen for that whole season.
Yeah, it works
in a nutshell. Yeah. And it was on Stephen A. Smith show, and it was just like they tore them a new ass, and they needed it. There's a lot going on in the background, a lot of keep Sirianni, fire Sirianni. Who knows, dude? I'm just going to sit back and listen, and whatever happens, because it can't happen again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It sounds like the ownership, Jeffrey Lurie and Sirianni, they were doing some, I think I read today, they're looking into coordinators and kind of like senior advisors, that kind of thing, which I don't know. One thing for coordinators, but if you're talking about advisors, like that makes me think that you don't have a lot of faith in what you're doing. I too was on the bandwagon of something didn't feel right about the Eagles all year long. I struggled with what was going on, and I don't know. I don't know what it was. Offensively, I think right now I'm really, and I think I mentioned it to you guys in our chat, that whatever the breakdown with AJ Brown was, like you said, prima donna wide receiver, which is very, very possible. His agent shares an agent with Debo. Like, this is the type of shit that they do, right? It's the type of shit he did out of Tennessee, all that kind of stuff. But like him not playing in the game, I wonder how much of that was an actual injury and how much of it, like, what the fuck was going on there, right? Like,
he went to a
doesn't make a
boxing
lot of
match the night before or something like that, right? Like there's a picture of him out.
Yeah. So then
fuck.
when you think of prima donna wide receivers, they're usually, it's almost like they're the megaphone of the culture that's actually in the locker room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they just like blow up everything. So even if there's a little bit of dissension in the locker room, whatever's going on, he's just kind of like that, he's just blowing it out of proportion even more. So there's something there. I don't know if it's Sirianni. I don't know. I know a lot of people pointing fingers at him. I'm personally not a huge fan of Sirianni, but I think he acts kind of like a child sometimes. And I think that throws me off about him. Whether or not his football IQ, I'm not really sure where that's at. But yeah, the Eagles, he
doesn't have a strong record for him.
No, this was crazy to watch. What happened to them. It really was. Like, I didn't expect this at all. I don't think.
I wasn't even surprised. I wasn't. And look, I picked him. I knew.
Yeah, you picked. Yeah.
Right. I called a couple of weeks before. You just know when it's over. It was like, I guess if there was anything to soften the blow versus like, Dallas, everybody was fucking surprised. I was not shocked by this at all. There's a few Philly fans out there probably called me an idiot, whatever. It's if you didn't see the writing on the wall early in the season, you're blind, man. It wasn't good, man. To me,
yeah, I don't think I expected to be Tampa. I don't think I expected it to be Tampa this way. Yeah. I felt like they could lose to Dallas this way. They could lose to San Fran. They could lose to Detroit this way.
Any team other than Pittsburgh.
Tampa. Yeah, but Tampa this way it felt. Yeah.
They didn't play. It was almost like they moved the Buffalo game and Pittsburgh game that night because they're like, we better put a good game on tonight because we know what's going to happen here. It's almost like they knew. Like Philly had quit before they got there. AJ Brown, that was just fuel to the fire. I could go on all night. I did hear one name thrown around, Rick, and I don't know him that well, but I think he was a Niners guy or a Purdy guy. Bobby Slowick was a name they were throwing around, talking about coach. If there is going to be a change at coaching or if you're going to get rid of your offensive coordinators, like what's going on with the head coach? Like in my head, they're supposed to build the team. Like I don't know.
Well, the coaching staff anyway. Yeah, the coaching.
You're not
staff,
getting Belichick. You're not getting some of these old minds wandering around. I think I love the fact that you give Sirianni a chance, but like, how much control did he have? Maybe he took a shot last year. You lose the Super Bowl. You know what? We're going to clamp down on you a bit. I don't know. I'm just going to watch.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Reg?
Well, I do have. Well, coming into the weekend, I thought Tampa Bay and Philly were the two worst teams in the playoffs, and I really was just on a coin flip on who was going to win that game.
I kind of coin flipped on this one too. I really did.
I mean, Pittsburgh. Oh, Luke disappeared.
He's had enough of this shit.
The season's over. He's out of here.
Yeah, fucking out of here. He says.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh obviously I think was my other team that was along the bottom. But what I don't understand, and Luke might be able to answer this, what I don't understand, and this is like maybe my football IQ isn't right, but they scored at the end of the first half, and then they went for the brotherly shove and they failed the 2-point conversion, and they were down 16-9. A kick would have put them up to 10.
Yeah,
the 2 points puts them to 11. Like I can't understand the logic of trying to be down 5 points versus being down 6. I mean, you can kick 2 field goals and you tie. Like if you're down 5, you kick 2 field goals and get ahead. Like, is that the logic there? Because I feel like as soon as they failed their, their perfect play at the end of the half, that's when the game was over. Like I feel like as soon as that happened, the game just went completely downhill for them. They had no chance after that.
Tampa Bay made a statement, and good on them. I think last year Philly went for 2 points a lot. Yeah, a lot actually. And this year, of course, everybody loves the brotherly shove, tush push. There's one part of Philly that was more consistent than that, believe it or not, and that's Jake Elliott. So
Yeah.
to your point, why wouldn't you take your kick there? Jake's going to score all day. And I guess they were more confident in their brotherly shove than Jake, and Tampa shut him down.
I think if you do the math, if you get the 2-point conversion, and then you score again, when you score again, you go for another 2-point, which will put you up by 3. And even if you don't get that 2-point, you're up by 1.
Sure.
Yeah. I think that's this whole analytics on.
Well, I'm sure there's a good reason.
I don't, a lot of the times I struggle with why they do some of the things they do. It doesn't make,
I agree.
I know that computers are telling them to do this, but I wish that an old school coach would just walk up and be like, no, we're fucking kicking a field goal.
Yeah.
Or no, this is what we're doing now because this. Like it.
Yeah. I remember. So
they did it in Atlanta with New Orleans. We were going in for this.
We're doing it.
We're not taking a knee. We're running
either
in.
way, I thought the game ended there, right? Like I thought that was the end of the game when they failed there. I just thought like if you can't do your most consistent play and it's getting stopped and like you're toast. But the whole analytics thing. I mean, we could talk about that forever. There was I think it was 2 years ago when the Ravens. They went for a 2-point conversion. Maybe it was last.
Oh yeah, and they ended up losing.
Losing, and then I went and I was
Harbaugh was
talking to a Ravens fan. And I'm like, man, and he's like, nope. Analytics say go for it. And I'm like,
that's bullshit.
What do you mean? Like you had the momentum, you tie the game up, you go to overtime, you win the fucking game. Like you have everything going your way.
You're gonna put it in one fucking play.
I said, you guys are gonna miss. You guys potentially missed the playoffs now. Or they did miss I forget.
They missed the playoffs. I think they missed the playoffs. Yeah, I think you're right.
And it's like, how can you defend that? And it's like, well, analytics said it. I'm like, all right, I guess.
Yeah, fuck your analytics.
If they're not doing it in Madden, we're not talking about it.
Yeah, well, there's got to be like, there's feel to the game. Like the numbers, sure, you 58% of the time you're going to get it, and you should go with 58% of the time.
Yeah, but if I'm struggling for short yardage. If I'm struggling short yardage or in the red zone,
all game,
guess what?
Yeah.
I'm kicking an extra point because I want the 1 point. I'd rather take that and then hope to kick a field goal later on or whatever. Like it's
didn't the Ravens like kick the longest field goal like ever last year? Like was it like some incredible feat or something? Maybe it wasn't the Ravens. Sorry, I meant didn't they kick like the longest field goal in the league? I gotta check on that.
Possibly.
I feel like the one that bounced off the post and it beat Detroit or something like that. And it was just like this incredibly long field goal.
Tucker, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Anyways, Philadelphia sad story for the season.
It's over, boys.
They need to.
It's over, boys.
Yeah,
it's over.
You know what? I was thinking I was gonna text you guys over the wild card weekend after Dallas got blown out and as Philadelphia was getting fucked. I was gonna say like, is it worse to make the playoffs and then get embarrassed, or just be like Minnesota where you just your season kind of fell apart and it's like, you know what, we're on to the next season? As like how do you feel like would you rather miss the playoffs as a Philadelphia Eagles fan knowing that the season was toast, or would you rather show up and just get embarrassed?
No way. I was glad they made the playoffs.
Yeah,
okay. They had a chance. They fucked it, right? That's what happened, right?
I guess.
Did I think they were going to screw it? Yeah, absolutely. But I love playoff football, and the fact that you know what, your team did play well this year at some points and gave you some joy. Yeah, I'll take a playoff reward, even if they do look stupid.
Yeah, I think. I think it's easier depending on what your record is in the regular season. Like, if it's tight. I want to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Do I like losing in the playoffs? Like
No.
if you're the one that just squeaked in the door, then there's a good chance you're going to get blown out anyway.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. If you get fucked by squeaking in the door, but like if you're the number 4 team in the league,
Dallas is number 2, not like two in the NFC.
Yeah, exactly. Like the 2 NFC East.
They got beaten number 7, the number 7 team.
Yeah. Oh, by the
They
way,
beat
that
up a
hasn't
little
happened
wimpy
in a long
teams.
time.
Yeah, I will
Philly
tell
did
you
too.
though, like in the same vein, I've always said, so I've been fortunate enough to witness the Niners lose 2 Super Bowls now. And I am absolutely 100% on board with I would rather the Niners lose in the NFC Championship game than win the NFC Championship game and lose the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I
Every
agree with
time.
that statement. I would still make the playoffs, but I agree with that. But that's what you're going to run the risk if you get the playoffs. But yeah, it sucks to lose the Super Bowl.
I would rather lose the NFC Championship game every time than ever have to go through another Super Bowl loss. Because up until that Baltimore Super Bowl loss, we hadn't lost. Every Super Bowl we went to, we won. And then that one was the most gut-wrenching thing I've ever experienced. And I was just like, I don't know what to even do with this right now. So so that's been my take for a very long time. So either way. Okay, let's sorry, go ahead.
Next, I was just gonna say I like the fact that like just knowing what I know, thinking what I think, just a fan. Losing like that, if there's anything good to take about it, it should drive change, at least in this franchise. Traditionally, Philly comes down pretty hard with all their sports teams when they shit the bed. I follow the Flyers and the Phillies as well, and you shit the bed like that, man. Someone pays.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, thanks for letting me vent.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so I don't know if you guys talked about. Did we talk about this at the end of the year? That Reg, you were all of a sudden now in the doghouse. So
I mean,
either way,
I'm still way ahead of Rob. And you know what? I was going for the perfect 0-6 this week. I just
you almost got it.
I didn't pick the Steelers.
Even better, I went for the 6-0.
You got the 6-0, baby.
Yeah, congrats, that was a good call in Green Bay, buddy. I was happy.
Yeah. So went a little 6-0 here, so it was good. Either way, we still got the yearly totals going here, and I don't have one for Luke because we kind of had different picks from you, so I didn't worry about trying to figure that out. But this is good. So I'm glad that I don't think that mathematically I can lose now at this point.
You can't.
So
I don't even think mathematically Rob can catch me. Right?
Yeah.
We have 4 games this weekend too.
So we
got 7 games left.
I don't know if Rob's ever going to show up on the show again. So
Rob's kicked off. This is now Red, Rick, and Luke's show.
Yeah, the RLR show. The RLR.
The RLR. I like it.
All right. Divisional round preview. We do have Rob's picks though. He did submit some picks. So talk quickly here about Houston and Baltimore. Lads, what do you got?
I still think
I love CJ, but
go
ahead, Reg. Go ahead. Reg.
I still think Baltimore was the best team coming into the playoffs. Obviously, they've had a bye, and I imagine they've, prepped very hard for this. They're nice and well rested. I feel like CJ is just going to get murdered. We'll find out, though. He's done some very impressive things, so I would not be surprised if he could pull something out of his bag. But
Baltimore has a history of early playoff exits, so that's something to watch.
Lamar's playing really good football.
Yeah, really good. The problem is that he's the kind of the catalyst in the playoffs. At the beginning of the playoffs, he tends to struggle. He has historically struggled at the beginning of the playoffs.
Yeah, so I don't know if I feel like every game Stroud just airs the ball out a few times and gets huge touchdowns, and I just don't think this is going to happen against Baltimore. And I think that's one of the things that I wouldn't say they rely on, but it's helped them get these wins. And I think they're going to get after them a lot. They keep
shit at them.
They keep showing the one replay from the Houston who they just play
Browns.
The Browns. They keep showing the one replay. It was a deep ball that he threw to Nico Collins, and he had beat the defender. Mm-hmm. And if you actually watch the play, he actually missed the proper throw, right? Like he should have thrown it on his inside shoulder. It would have been a touchdown all day. Yeah. But because Nico Collins had to adjust on the fly, he just barely caught it and ended up getting tackled there just before the end zone. So he's not perfect, right? So there's more there. He's just putting himself. There's a lot of rollouts and on the runs and things like that. So Baltimore, historically has a great defense, so we'll see what happens.
I guess what I'm saying is it almost reminds me of like if you watch a Niners game, you're almost ensured that the Niners are going to throw a screen to Debo and get a touchdown, right? And it's like when you watch a Houston game, Stroud's just going to do like this little, and it's going to go 50 yards in the air, and Nico Collins or whatever, wide receiver he's got that week is going to catch a ball for a touchdown.
Sure.
And I can't see Baltimore giving up huge chunk plays like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think, Luke?
I was gonna say like with the pass rush, like what Baltimore loves to do. Houston stuffed the Browns pass rush pretty friggin' good, man. I
Yeah, and they're a good pass
over
rush.
300 yards, eh? So there is that factor. However, perhaps Baltimore's just that much better than the Browns. We'll see. I think there's a running back core in Baltimore that's starting to evolve right now too. And I think the biggest factor in this game, personally, head coach, he's been there, done that for a long time. Harbaugh's he's a pretty good coach, man. He knows what he's he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's got, and he knows how to adjust. It'll be a fun game. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. The Ravens will like own the time of possession too, right? Like
Sure.
They take their time moving down. Like they're not huge chunk plays. Like they move down the field, they beat you up, and they win the game, right? And I don't know if Houston's ready for it. I really don't. We'll see.
Yep,
You know
fair.
what? If Houston wins this game, I'm rooting Houston the rest of the way. I don't know who they'd be
Hell
playing
yeah.
in the AFC. It would either be the Bills or the Chiefs, and then I really hope they win that and go to the Super Bowl. That would be fucking amazing. But yeah. What do you think, Rick?
My heart wants Houston to win this game. I picked Houston as my dark horse early on in the season, and I'm a big, obviously, D'Amico Ryans being their head coach. A lot of ex-49ers there. There's a lot of ex-49er coaches there. So I've got a soft spot for the Texans. I went there. I watched a game there last year, and I felt bad for them. The Eagles, they were playing the Eagles, and the Eagles just basically overran the stadium, right? So I got this kind of soft spot for them, and I want them to play well. But I think if I remove my heart from it, then Baltimore still is. I said, a lot of the weeks throughout the season that Baltimore was, in my opinion, the number one team in the league. And until proven otherwise, at this point, they still are, right? So I think that Baltimore, is my favorite in this game, and
Rob pick Houston.
well, I guess we'll see. And Rob pick Houston,
Of course, it doesn't show up.
Hey, man, anything's possible.
To add on to D'Amico Ryan, did you see the clip when he was
standing outside the hallway?
No.
Oh.
When he's coaching the DB. So he's coaching the DB, and he's like, just play the quarterback here. And then like the next possession, he gets the pick six, and he's like, and he's running down the sideline. I fucking knew it. Yeah, baby. Like, just play the quarterback.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
He's fun to watch, man. He's really fun to
D'Amico?
watch.
Yeah. Did you
I
see
like him
him
too.
after the game? So
No.
after the game, when all the players are coming off the field, he's standing in the hallway before the locker room, and
Yeah.
a player would come and he'd like get excited, yo, and then the player would walk away, and he'd almost have like an emotional breakdown, right? Like you could tell he was just overwhelmed with emotion. But then as soon as another player showed up, he like woke up and he was like, yeah, way to go. And then he was like, it was cool. It was cool to watch. So good for him. I think they showed a clip, JJ Watt, when he played his last game against San Francisco last year with Arizona. And after the game, he went up to D'Amico, and because D'Amico was our defensive coordinator, and he said, go make Houston great again. And this was before they had announced anything. And D'Amico said, I will. And so here they are. And good for them.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like him. I think he's a motivational dude, man. Good point.
Yeah. Okay. Packers coming to town.
Tension in Oshawa.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I can tell you. Well, let's do our takes, and I'll tell you a funny story about a couple of years ago when we had I think it was probably NFC Championship. I think it was. Yeah. So either way, what are your takes? Thoughts? What do you got?
This is kind of the same effect or the same comment as the last one. San Francisco is far and away the best NFC team as well. Well rested. They are not going to give up 48 points or whatever it was that the Cowboys gave up, and they are going to strike fast and hard and Green Bay is probably going to be on the back foot the whole time, is the way I feel. Green Bay might come out and get a score, and then San Fran will have to claw back for the first quarter, but I really don't see this not being a commanding beatdown by San Fran. And I think Jordan Love is in for another beating. Like, he got his ass kicked. He was getting hit pretty hard last week. I imagine they're going to get after him this week too.
Yeah.
So,
Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, I think San Fran, like, if they play their best game, they're going to beat Green Bay when Green Bay plays their best game. Or, even San Fran at 75% should dominate it. Listen, the only way I would see Green Bay winning this, they got nothing to lose. If they come in and they play like last weekend, if they're going to win it, if they come in and play like last weekend, I mean, lights out. You got to stop Jones. You got to stop the pass rush. I mean, once you get into Love's head, he's a young quarterback. It wouldn't be much to crack, but crazier things have happened. I think McCaffrey rest is going to be pretty wild, and as long as San Fran stays healthy, yeah, best team in the NFL, probably the NFL right now, to be honest. I think the Ravens, it's pretty close. It's pretty close.
So a couple of things. So first of all, I'll talk about Green Bay. I think where my concern with Green Bay is that, and I said this midway through the season, they're too young to know any better, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's scary about them, right? So as long as they're coached well, they could be dangerous, right? They could.
They got nothing to lose, right?
So yeah, they're playing with all this money right now, right? Like
they're all
gives a
on
shit?
rookie
They're just-
contracts.
they're like,
Yeah.
we're out here and we're in the playoffs and we weren't supposed to be here, right? Like that's
They barely got
that's
in.
where they're
Yeah.
at right now.
It was a
And
they're
they
all
don't give a
making
shit.
Brock Purdy
And
money.
they just beat the shit out of the Cowboys in their house, and now they don't give a shit, right? So that's what makes me worried about Green Bay. So
Yeah.
where San Fran is at right now, if you
No.
go back to the second or third last week, even like the Baltimore game, the Christmas night game, when you look at the injuries, we are currently sitting with one person out and one person questionable. So Cleveland Farrell's out, which means that Chase Young, who's been used very sparingly, not very much at all, really, he will be lining up opposite the line with Nick Bosa. So that we're gonna really get to see what that looks like now, because Cleveland Farrell's been really playing pretty well, actually. The biggest thing that we're getting back in this game that we haven't had for probably the last 5 games of the season is Eric Armstead, who is defensive tackle up front. If you'll notice, some of the games that we've played, even when we've won the run game, we've had a hard time with it. And Eric Armstead has been playing dominant football this year, very quietly. So that's a massive thing. Dre Greenlaw is the questionable one, and I don't like not having him. He really is the enforcer on the team, and I've talked about him in the past where, it worries me some of the shit he does, right? He's going to get us in trouble. He's probably going to cost us a 15-yard penalty somewhere down the line, right? He's going to do something stupid, but he's out there, right?
Yeah.
We got a rookie safety out there, Jair Brown, playing for Talanoa Hufanga, right? And Jair Brown, Penn State guy, he played really well. He's played really well other than when he was injured. So things are looking really well. I think what the Niners need to do is, people are talking right now, Brock Purdy, rest, all this kind of stuff. What he needs for McCaffrey to come out and bust a good sizable run and kind of settle into the game when they get on offense. And I think if that happens, I think this could be a steamroll. I really do. And yeah, I think that the weapons are there. They're all back. Brandon's back. Juwan Jennings is back. Like, everybody is back, literally, other than those 2 people I talked about. So it doesn't look great for Green Bay, and not at home. Right.
Yeah, Green Bay. I think Green Bay, like, when you look back at their last 5 games, it's Aaron Jones has kind of went off, and that's kind of opened up the pass game for Jordan Love.
And he's got really fresh legs, right? Aaron Jones does. He was injured from the majority of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's wild, man. It's wild how good he's playing, to be honest.
Yeah, I have to imagine that San Fran will be able to stop him. If they don't, then I think that's where it gets scary, because that does open up, where they need to cheat a bit to start stopping him, and then maybe Jordan Love can actually make some good completions downfield and stuff like that to those rookie wideouts.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
yeah, I think when I'm looking at the games, I think this is I would say this feels like the least competitive game of the week for me. I feel like, I feel like the Niners should be far and away ahead of the Packers, where the other games I feel like
A little
could
bit
go
tighter.
either way.
Yeah.
This one was a no-brainer for me, but the other ones are,
Yeah, you get a little bit of doubt here and there. Yeah. So the funny story back to the Green Bay 49ers thing. So obviously, if anybody listening doesn't know, my wife is a Packers fan. I obviously am a 49ers fan. So we've met several times now, not only in the regular season, but in postseason play over the last couple of years. And the Niners have really been pretty dominant. Funny story from a couple of years ago. We were sitting on the couch watching the game, and the Niners opened up, and I think they opened up the game like 21, maybe 24-0. And as they were scoring, she was yelling, and it was kind of like one of those things where like stupid shit would happen. There'd be a fumble here or whatever, and it was just everything was going wrong, right? And she's kind of yelling at the TV, getting a little upset, playing my role really, and finally she's sitting on the couch, and I'm sitting there, and I'm quiet, very quiet. And if you've ever watched a 49ers game with me, it doesn't happen very often, but I'm sitting there, I'm quiet, and she snaps her head like some exorcist shit. She just snaps her head, looks over at me, and she says, you could enjoy this, right? And I looked back at her and I said, I don't think I can. And I just sat there quietly for the rest of the game. So she was not impressed. But either way, that's the year that we went on to lose to the Chiefs, I believe.
Yeah, to the Chiefs. It was the year right before COVID. 27-0 is actually how that game started out. I just
yeah. So that's what she was not impressed with me. Yeah.
Went into half 27-0. And
Those are tough ones, man. Those are tough ones. It's over
tough.
before it starts.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Rob. Yes.
Rob, there's a theme here. There's a theme here with Rob's picks.
He's
You'll
trying
see
to make
them.
a comeback.
There's a theme with Rob's picks. So either way, Rob picked Green Bay. It is what it is. All right.
Yeah.
So two
Big
number
money.
one seeds playing on Saturday. So all right. Next one. Tampa Bay visiting Detroit.
someone else go.
This is
Okay,
the most
so-
bizarre playoff matchup ever.
It really is. Like it's wild.
I don't even know
You know
what
what the
to
beautiful
say.
thing is I still think the Bucks suck. They could potentially win, but if the Lions win and the Niners win, not only then you have that in the NFC Championship, you and Rob.
That's fun.
Going
I
back
think
to
that's
the
the
whole-
game everybody would like to see. Like
Yeah.
that would make sense.
I think at this
don't know
point
if
now, like I think if you think about it, if the Niners manage to win and then the Bucks make it, we're basically sitting here having the same conversation we just had about the Niners and the Packers, right?
like
In the NFC
in a
Championship game.
worst case scenario, like more of a slaughter,
Right.
like a water.
But at least with the Lions making it and the Niners, there's a chance for there to be a high scoring game. You know what I mean? Like shit to happen, right? And it to be kind of exciting.
Or Jared Goff just shits the bed and gets murdered by the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, I just can't see any teams in the NFC like beating the Niners right now.
Of those
Yeah.
teams that are left, right?
Yeah,
The
the
Lions,
AFC teams, like there
and
might be
Green
one
Bay.
there where I'm just like, meh. I would be
Yeah.
more scared of what's going to come at you from the AFC at this point, and like the form of KC, Buffalo, or obviously Baltimore are all threats.
Or the Texans.
Yeah.
Too. The Texans too.
I don't know if I'd give the Texans in there. Yeah, not yet.
I would
love
put the
them. Trust
Texans
me, I
ahead of
love
the
them, but
Bucks. I put them ahead of the Bucks, the
oh,
Lions,
okay,
and the
yeah.
Packers, though.
I'm just thinking AFC. I'm not even talking NFC. NFC.
Oh
like,
no, but that's what I'm saying though, right? Is like the Niners, I think, are number 1 or 2 remaining, and then
Yeah.
the rest of the NFC teams are 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're-
Yeah, it's
they're-
it.
Yeah, we're agreeing.
Niners up there at the top, and then all the AFC teams below them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So okay. So my take here is, I looked at this game
You're
and I'm
gonna take
like,
the Bucks, aren't you? I know you are.
I wanted Detroit. I want Detroit to win this for Rob. I really do.
Oh, come
But
on,
there's
be
something
honest.
about what Baker Mayfield is doing that there's just some bullshit in the air.
There's some
And
Fitz magic sprinkled on them or
it's
something.
some stupid shit, and it's one of those
Fitz
things
magic.
where things just somehow happen, and I had a hard time. I looked at this. I went through all of them. I just picked bam, 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 and I skipped this one for some reason, and I had to look at it for a second. And the fact that I had to look at it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to pick Tampa Bay here.
Yeah.
So I did. I picked Tampa Bay, and and I think that this is I think this is a growing pains loss for the Lions. I think next year, next year they run the table and they're probably challenging for 1 and 2 in the NFC. But I think this is one of those learning lessons. Like, yeah, it was cool to go in and win that first game, and it was fun. But if they had beat the shit out of the Rams, I wouldn't have even thought twice about it, right?
Sure.
But the fact that game stayed so close for as long as it did, and the Rams are playing well, they're better than the Bucs as far as I'm concerned.
Mhm.
There's just something about Detroit that I don't trust still, and I think that they have the opportunity. What worries me about Detroit is that they let teams score a lot of
Score
points
too many points.
that shouldn't score points,
I agree.
and that's
Like
and
the
that's what
Eagles.
scares me about them, right? So
Yeah,
so I went Bucks.
They let inferior offenses, like, because
This is
the
what I'm
Rams
saying.
offense is a
Yeah.
pretty good offense, and they played to defensively. They played to the Rams offense, but like, if you look at the Lions, they were giving up 30 points, like, to all of these teams that
30,
have
40,
inferior
like, just
offenses,
crazy.
such as the Bucks. And I did the same thing that you did, Rick. I looked at this and I went, fuck. I ended up going with the Lions though, because fuck, I think the Bucks are terrible still, right? Like, can Baker?
Yeah, I think it's a
actually get
fluke if
3
they win. To
playoff
be honest,
wins?
it's funny.
Yeah.
It-
All right, Luke, your
Yeah,
turn.
you know what? I really. Oh,
yeah.
go ahead, Luke.
No, finish up, dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I can't buy into the Bucks. I'm not a huge fan of the Lions. I'm not a huge fan of the Lions either, but like, they've got that whole culture thing going and all that kind of stuff. And I think maybe, the home team kind of thing, they get the win. If Baker goes into Detroit and wins, it's going to be exciting to watch him go to San Francisco and get his ass kicked. But
He might die. He might die in San Fran. He really might.
he
might
who's
throw
the,
6 interceptions. He might throw 6 interceptions there.
You'll get a Daniel Jones gif of him, right? Like, you'll get one of those from exactly. Baker will show up, and that's what's going to happen to
There's
him.
a backup quarterback. Dan Jones is a backup now. He's done.
All right,
Yeah.
Luke, what do you think? Oh, sorry.
Oh,
I keep cutting you off, Reg. I keep thinking you're done. Sorry.
No. I mean, I guess the one thing is like, the Bucks have been playing pretty good defensively, and I don't know if that's just like, the Eagles not playing well offensively and stuff like that. But they had a shutout against the Panthers, which isn't that exciting, and I don't think they let a lot of points in the game before that. So like, they've been playing well defensively, so they could hold the Lions off. But the Lions have been historically scoring a lot of points and giving up a lot of points. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, now for real, Luke.
Yeah, go Luke.
No, and hey, you guys made good points. I'm gonna just say this, like, as far as the NFC, I just can't believe we're not talking about Dallas right now. Like, it is
Isn't
sort
that crazy?
Realistically, the Bucks what would have happened? Like, I still think the Bucks would have beat the Eagles. I still think Dallas should have won. So the Bucks would have played the Niners, right? In this game, if that was the case, and Dallas would have played this game.
No, the Bucks were the winners of the South, so it would have been the Niners and the.
That's right.
Detroit.
It would have been
it would have been the Bucks. It would have been the Bucks. Yeah.
So I that game should have happened, and it would have been a slaughter. They're gonna get. We'll see what Baker does just for fun, shits and giggles. Dallas, the Lions, that would have been an unreal game. Lions going back for that rematch.
They might have scored 50 points.
I would have loved to have seen that game again. I honestly would. I'm not taking away anything Green Bay gave us last weekend, but as far as this game goes, I mean, anything could happen. This could be the closest game all weekend. It really could. But I really, really think that the Lions are going to come out and kick the living crap out of the Bucks this weekend. Yeah. I just think they're going to throw to every single thing they possibly can at home in a loud stadium and just cause chaos for Baker.
Yeah. Yep. There it is. Yeah.
Went with Bucks.
Throwing it down. I went with the Bucks. All right. Okay. Last and definitely not least, probably, could be possibly the strongest game of the week.
Love it.
There it is. They're both
Rematch.
playing. Man, they are both playing. They are where if you looked at both these teams at different times of the year, they were in trouble. The Bills barely made. I mean, I guess shouldn't just say barely because they ended up being the AFC East champ or the winner. But it was scary there. The Bills were like
6-6.
they were out of the playoffs for a long time, and they managed to get back in. The Chiefs, we all know they played not great down the stretch. Like, I don't know how many weeks we kept picking the Chiefs because we're like, they're the fucking Chiefs. Eventually they're just going to win a game. And it never happened. And it just kept happening. And now, like, you're looking at them both in the playoffs and how they both played last week. And, how Kansas City, I didn't get to watch it, but you guys said the last week of the season, both these teams look like what we expected them to look like, right? At the beginning of the year, right? Like, and man, these two could be dangerous when it comes to whoever comes out of this game. Like they're gonna take a run for that AFC side for sure.
Yeah.
So the Bills started the season 6-6. Well, I guess not started the season. They were 6-6 and they've won their last 6 games, and they've been on a roll, right? Like they beat the Cowboys, they beat the Chiefs, they also beat the Dolphins, and then obviously they beat the Steelers last weekend. They've looked really good. Like Josh Allen's looking good. He's not turning the ball over like he was at the first half of the season, kind of thing.
Well, firing their offensive coordinator was a big deal, right? Now they're running the ball. They're a running team first, and Josh Allen is not trying to carry the team.
Yeah.
Right?
But the Chiefs look good. And it's funny because, like, at the start of the season, if you were to pick your AFC championship game, you're probably thinking like, Chiefs Bills or something like that, right? And somehow the universe, the stars aligned, and here we are, Chiefs Bills. And I remember when they were 6-6 and they were going to play the Chiefs and the Cowboys. That were their next 2 games. They lost to the Eagles. They went 6-6, and I thought, okay, they got the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Dolphins all coming up. There's no way they're making the playoffs. They can't win all of those games. And they did. Yeah. They fucking won them all.
They should have beat the Eagles too by rights. Like there was a play at the end of the game that looked pretty fishy. I remember.
Yeah. So
they're playing well, man.
I have to ride with the Bills. I know that the Chiefs have hit their stride, but I'm going with the Bills. I've gone all home field teams this week. I've taken the home field advantage the whole way, and I think it'll be an exciting game. I think this is the game of the week. For sure. I'm glad that they put it Sunday night. Last weekend I was looking, and it was like the Monday night game was the Eagles game, and I was thinking, fuck, this game sucks. And I forget what the Sunday night game was. Yeah, I don't know what the Sunday night game was supposed to be. Or it was the Rams Detroit, and I was thinking, that's the best game of the week. But this has to be the best game of the week looking on paper, and I hope it is. I hope they deliver. I hope it's one of those shootouts or defensive. It doesn't matter what it is, but I hope it's a close game and exciting. So
Luke, what do you think?
I think the Bills are just chomping at the bit to get these guys at home, especially with their history last few years. I think this is, correct me if I'm wrong, the first time the Bills have had a home game in a long time, specifically with KC.
This is
Mahomes' first
away game
in playoffs.
Exactly.
Other than Super Bowls,
which he plays very well in, hostile environment here. I couldn't ask for a better scenario. It'd probably be a little hostile in Baltimore too, I would suspect. He's coming off his worst season ever, but he's Mahomes. He's got the ammo. The Rashid Rice, they're starting to click, right? Like that's a nice little weapon he's been using a lot that a lot of people haven't been paying attention to. Everybody's like talking about Kelsey and the running game, but he's starting to find his guys, and he is such a good quarterback, man. Having him line up against Josh Allen, like 2 different styles altogether, man. You're right. Great game. I like the Bills in this one, but I'm scared about the experience on the road, not really giving a shit about where they are. If they're starting to click, I think KC's they're scary, man. They're still scary, but I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
do you
where
got-
I went. Well, I think where I went with this one is when you think about, okay, so the Bills have put a charge on the last 6 weeks or whatever. They put a lot of stuff on tape, who they are now, their new identity, and it's a great identity. It's perfect what they're doing. The type of ball they're playing is fantastic. The Chiefs, they've kind of hit their stride later, right? So a lot closer to the playoffs, kind of who their identity or who they're becoming is still kind of fresh. So when you look at when these coordinators sit down and they're reviewing tape and they're going through everything that's at their disposal, there's a lot more of who the Bills are on tape than who the actual Chiefs are right now on tape.
Sure.
So this game was tight for me. I felt like these two teams should have been here along at the beginning of the year, like Reg said. And here they are. I'm really glad I'm here for it. I'm really happy as an NFL fan. This is what I want to see in the third last week of the season. And I really could have went with my pick either way with this one. I did go with the Chiefs. I feel like, Josh Allen's probably due for a couple of turnovers. He's been pretty good protecting the ball lately. So we'll see what happens. KC's defense is playing legitimately out of this world. They are out of control good right now. And I just think that might be the deciding factor is the KC defense. So no Mahomes, no Allen, maybe Allen causing, making mistakes or whatever. But really, I think it's going to come down to that KC defense. And if they're the ones that dictate how this game goes, KC wins this one.
Out of curiosity, who are your favorite quarterbacks to watch in the NFL? Because these are the two guys that I love watching. Like if it's a weekend and I don't have a game I want to watch, I love watching Mahomes. I love watching Josh Allen play. So it's just like the perfect scenario.
Lamar's another one. I love watching Lamar. Yeah. I love watching. I find the way Purdy throws the ball is really fun for me. And that might be because of who I've had to watch in the last, couple of years, but I just enjoy the way he plays the game. I think that he seems like he's really calm, cool, collected and fun to watch. But yeah, those would probably be my four. Yeah. CJ Stroud is, he's fun to watch right now too. So, but yeah, these two, when I think of if I'm just looking for a game to watch, I'm probably more apt to fall onto one of these two games.
Yeah, for sure.
Because of those two, for sure. And if I had to pick one, I think I enjoy watching Josh Allen play better. I think Patrick Mahomes has been a little bitch this year. And
this year.
He just seems extra bitchy this year and extra whiny. And I'm not into that. Right. So anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, I think about I guess when it comes to the Super Bowl, because, I've never seen the Vikings in a Super Bowl. It's just like, I usually pick the team that I enjoy watching the most. Right. And when KC gets there, it's like I really like watching KC play football because it's fun. Mahomes does their offense is all over the place. Like it's just fun, right? So same with Buffalo. Like Josh Allen's doing all sorts of crazy Josh Allen shit, and it's just fun football to watch, regardless. So yeah. What about you, Luke? Is there
I gauge it on a weird thing. Gauge it on a QB's toughness because I like watching them get hit. So I'd have to say like a guy like Josh Allen, CJ Stroud, Lamar Jackson, guys that put themselves out there. They're not scared to get hit. They take their licks. I'm sure their coaches hate them for it. They don't drop the ball. They will drop the ball. I shouldn't say that, but they'll take that risk. Josh runs with this goddamn head down, man. Like he's not scared to get in there. Lamar too. Lamar just is wild this year, man. He's unbelievable to watch. I got a Ravens fan in my house apparently now. And we've watched a lot of those games, and watching Lamar see the field and how he's playing this year, especially with all the drama in the offseason there, man. It's like it never even happened. And watching and then CJ Stroud coming up as a young God, I wish he was on my fantasy football team as a keeper, man. Like that guy's gonna destroy leagues aside from what he's doing. And I have a question for you guys actually. Who's a better matchup here for Houston in the event that actually happened? I would almost say they don't want to play KC.
But yeah, I would think that they have a better chance against Buffalo if Houston was.
I don't know. If Buffalo beats KC, that means they've done something incredible, probably playing the way they've been playing, which is gritty, just pounding the ball, throwing those lasers downfield. Josh is running. I don't know how bad you want to play a team like that right now.
I don't think Houston. I don't think either one of these teams, even if Houston's playing their best ball, I don't think either one of these teams. And really, it's going to come down to climate. I really think the climate for Houston is going to be a real struggle for them. Playing in the Dome, young team, super young team, and having to come out and play two great teams in their house. I just don't think that I don't think it bodes well for them. I don't think that either one of these teams is a good matchup for Houston, unfortunately. Not this time in their career, in their experience.
I think Houston gets their ass kicked, but I think they have a better chance.
I was just being hypothetical. That's pretty much
No, it's good.
I think
It's good to think.
Rick's point with Casey's defense would, and this is kind of what I was going with Baltimore, is like I just don't think CJ and the Texans are ready for
they're
a
not
strong
ready
defensive team.
Yeah.
Where the Bills, they're okay defensively, but they're
at home though.
Definitely not KC or Baltimore defense.
No.
So.
And KC was strong early in the year with their defense. It's like that. That was sort of it sort of tapered off because a few other teams like caught up in the middle that people started talking about. But I feel like KC's that was their shining star most of the season.
Year.
Because they're not at the KC of the old, scoring 51 points and all that kind of stuff, right? Like they're holding off defensively and winning by scoring 20 points, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Way different. The picks. They are
Buffalo,
boom.
KC.
So Rob and I literally picked opposites.
Which
all 4 games.
I was pretty vanilla this week. I mean, it's playoffs and we're in the divisional round. To your point, Rick. Like aside from maybe Tampa or Green Bay, like I think we're getting pretty tight now. Those are. There's always a couple to watch football. It should have been Dallas. It really should have been Dallas. Like it's wild to me still. I just and I'll say it. I knew my team wasn't. Yeah, there's so much work to do, but the fact that the Dallas isn't there, like it just blows my mind. I still can't believe that happened.
I think Dak needs a mental coach or something like in the offseason. Like he needs some training.
Did you see him when they won the division and the reporters asked him, "Oh, how come you didn't put on the division hat? The AFC East hat, right? Like all the players get the shirt and the hat." He's like, "Oh, I'm after something much bigger."
Superstitious.
More playoff wins.
Put your hat on.
Yeah. Be part of the team and enjoy the win. And play like he does stupid shit like that. So
like this Dallas revolt. I don't know the Dallas culture other than on the outside looking in and just sort of pointing and laughing and taking it back, whatever. Like is Jerry Jones like there? I know certain teams eventually get sick of their owners when shit like this happens.
I can't imagine he's liked. I don't know.
Well,
I often wonder how that affects everything. The whole like joke, this is our year. That's literally like from him. Like that's got to be getting old, man. That's got to be getting old.
I don't know.
Whatever. Take it. Yeah, it's not my problem, but man, it's wild. Go Green Bay.
Yeah.
Good job. Yeah. Good job, Green Bay.
Yeah,
good job, Green Bay. Good job, Green Bay.
Good job.
Well, lads.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, divisional weekend. So we've got somehow we managed to have 10 games to talk about here today. We took the same amount of time that we take when we have 32 games to talk about. So good job. Either way, it was a good chat. 3 of us,
therapeutic
football, and it's good to get it out. Yeah, for sure.
Dude, I got it out. Well, you all seen that 3 weeks ago. I got it out. I knew it. No, I got it out all right.
Yeah, that's right.
It's crazy that we're this far though already.
Yeah,
it's
almost over.
We're almost off season, and then it's like,
oh god,
maybe we're gonna have to take up lawn bowling or something. I don't know.
Atta boy.
We got the draft. We got some free agency we can talk about and some changes, I'm sure. But yeah,
we'll
it sucks when it starts winding down the way. Really does.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So
All right, to all our viewers, listeners, thank you for tuning in, listening, podcasts. What?
I don't think we had any viewers.
We
or
didn't have
listeners
one.
today
Not one.
because
Not
Change
one.
the day,
why?
man.
Change the
Rob's
day.
not
and
here.
Rob,
It's
our
charismatic
I don't think I
social
told-
manager,
Our social
Newman
media
Newman
guy
guy.
is not here.
the
I
guy
didn't-
that sends out the text says, "Hey, mom, go watch our show."
That's right.
Didn't send it
Nobody
out,
knew what was
so-
going on.
Like, so-
Either way, it's
Still
been a
fun.
blast, lads, as always, and we'll see if we can get back together for a Wednesday to next week. Otherwise, that's it.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah, good luck on this weekend for you, Rick, and the
Yeah,
Lions.
good luck, Rick.
Hopefully they do something.
Thanks, boys.
Okay.
Good luck, Rob.
And yeah, if anyone, Apple Podcast, Spotify, all that stuff, check
Do
it
the
out
things.
sometimes,
Hit the things,
But
the likes.
I
whatever.
appreciate you coming out, Luke, and
Yeah, always. Yeah, it's always a blast. Cool.
I catch
All
you
right.
going. I'm
It's
out of
good
here.
to be here, boys.
Peace.
See ya.
See you guys.